Reusability is also important because it allows us to refly the most expensive parts of the rocket, including the engines, which in turn drives down the cost of access to space. Falcon 9 is powered by 9 Merlin M1D engines, which accelerate the vehicle through the atmosphere and then later help the first stage make its way back to Earth. This will be the 16th flight for today's Falcon 9 first stage, which previously launched CRS-26, OneWeb Launch 16, Intelsat IS-40E, O3B mPOWER, Ovzon 3, Eutelsat 36D, Turksat 6A, and 8 Starlink missions. Today, our booster will be returning to Landing Zone 1 in Cape Canaveral, where it will be recovered and prepared for future flight. During re-entry, when the booster slows down from supersonic speeds, people in the immediate area may hear a brief double clap of thunder-like sound known as a sonic boom. Similar sonic booms were heard during the return and landing of NASA's Space Shuttle, and famously occur following a Falcon Heavy launch, when 2 boosters return at the same time to the launch site at the Cape. Sonic booms like these are unique to reusable vehicles returning from space, and are one of the hallmarks of reusable systems like Falcon. While these have become well known to rocket enthusiasts at the Cape, they will soon be coming to Texas, where our Starship vehicle's Super Heavy booster will begin returning to the launch tower for rapid reuse. Now here's what some of those booster returns have looked and sounded like on previous missions.
I know a lot of people will be excited when they hear the sonic boom.
And these are going to provide quite a show because you're going to hear those sonic booms.
Booster landing leg deployed.
That sonic boom is great for us.
That thunderclap broke the sound barrier.
Side booster separation confirmed.
Just heard the 2 sonic booms here in the room.
Booster landing confirmed.
To date, we've landed Falcon 9 338 times, and we'll be listening again today for that sonic boom as the first stage returns to LZ-1. Now turning our attention back to Falcon 9 on the launch pad, above the first stage is the second stage, which has a single Merlin vacuum, or MVAC engine, that ignites after the first stage separates. This is what will carry the Worldview Legion satellites to orbit. And located above the second stage is the payload fairing, which is the large barrel structure at the top of the rocket. At 17 feet in diameter, the carbon composite fairing protects satellites on their way to orbit. The fairing halves are jettisoned approximately 3 minutes into flight and returned to Earth to be recovered by our recovery vessel, Bob. The fairing halves supporting today's mission are both flight-proven, just like our booster, with one half flying for its 17th time and the other for its 7th. This mission is the second of several SpaceX launches for the Maxar Legion constellation that support national security, defense, and humanitarian response for the United States and allied governments. Once complete, the constellation will revisit each part of the Earth 15 times a day, which we'll learn more about in just a minute. The 2 Worldview Legions on board today are Maxar's first satellites that will fly to a mid-inclination orbit, or MIO. MIO means the satellites will orbit around the Earth's mid-latitudes instead of over the poles like the rest of the Maxar satellites currently in operation. MIO enables dawn-to-dusk collection and increases Maxar's ability to deliver near and real-time insights. For more on today's mission, let's take a look at this video from Maxar. Gorgeous views of our rocket on the launch pad there. And at T-minus 4 minutes and 36 seconds, Falcon 9 is tracking no issues. And of course, the payloads are healthy. Falcon 9 has been loading propellants since T-minus 35.
Strong back lower has started.
There's confirmation that the strong back is preparing to retract away from Falcon 9. We are expecting fuel loading to finish up on the vehicle at around the T-minus 2 minute mark. And as you heard that call out from Mission Control just now, next up the transporter erector will retract away from Falcon. Right now you can see those clamp arms opening up around stage 2. Now the TE will begin to pull away from the rocket slightly. And at T-minus 0, ground hydraulic systems will pull the TE even further away from Falcon 9 as it lifts off and clears the pad. The first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, but the structure is hinged so that it can do that retraction away from the vehicle in preparation for launch. You may also hear it referred to as the strong back by the launch team. We use the TE both to roll the rocket out to the pad and raise it to its vertical launch position. It's also used to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and payload until Falcon 9 transitions to internal power and clears the pad. Now at this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. Standing by for confirmation of first stage loading completion.
Stage 1 lock load complete.
And there's the call out right on time. Now we are also expecting the second stage to finish loading around the T-minus 2 minute mark. Of course, those white clouds you see around the vehicle are the chilled gas above the LOX tank venting overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed and are totally normal. When the oxygen comes out into the warm Florida air, it condenses into actual clouds, giving us that classic pre-liftoff view. At T-minus 60 seconds, Falcon 9 will enter startup mode. That means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. Just inside of T-minus 2 seconds, we will light the M1D engines for liftoff.
Stage 2 lock load complete.
There's confirmation that Falcon 9 is fully loaded and stepping into the final minutes of terminal count. The 2 Worldview Legion satellites continue to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket.
Gas launch closeouts has started.
Those gas closeouts on the vehicle also include venting of the TE LOX line, which is giving you those extra clouds at the bottom of your screen. Great views of the rocket today. Looks like a beautiful day in Florida.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Confirmation that Falcon 9 is in startup mode, and with that we are standing by for the launch director's final call for go for launch.
LD, go for launch.
There you heard the LD give that final go. So with just about T-minus 37 seconds to go, all systems are go for the launch of Falcon 9 and the Worldview Legion satellites.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition. And liftoff Falcon 9, go Worldview Legion. Vehicle is pitching downrange. MOD to your pressure nominal.
T plus 30 seconds and counting, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40, carrying the Worldview Legion satellites. After clearing the tower, we tilt or gimbal the engines to initiate a roll maneuver, which you're getting a good view of on your
Power
screen
and
right
telemetry
now.
nominal.
Confirmation there that power and telemetry for Falcon 9 are both nominal. That gimbaling maneuver that we're watching enables the vehicle's antennas to stay in the best
Falcon 9
position for
supersonic.
communicating with the ground. And with that call out, we also know that Falcon 9 is now moving faster than the speed of sound. So right now, while the vehicle is still going up, it's also moving
Max Q.
horizontally away from the launch pad. And there we heard the call out for max Q, which of course is the period of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Falcon 9 passes max Q once the air density lowers faster than the increasing speed of the vehicle.
And back in flight chill.
Now, the rocket needs to go about 17,500 miles per hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back down to Earth and reach orbit. So you can, of course, keep an eye on that Stage 1 telemetry at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen and watch for these speed changes throughout ascent. Now we have 5 events coming up in quick succession here, starting with MECO, then stage separation, Stage 1 flip, SES-1, and first stage boost back burn. MECO will see us shut down all 9 M1D engines on the first stage. Stage separation is when the first and second stages of Falcon separate from one another. And second engine start 1, or SES-1, is when we will light the MVAC engine on the second stage for the first time.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition. Stage 1 boost back startup.
There you heard and are getting great views of those events ongoing. Again, these were MECO, stage separation, Stage 1 flip, SES-1 with that great view of MVAC on the right-hand side of your screen, and confirmation of first stage boost back burn begin. Next up, we are standing by for fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
There's confirmation from Mission Control that the fairing halves have jettisoned away from the payload. We will be attempting to retrieve these fairing halves again today once they fall back to Earth with our recovery vessel Bob, which is currently stationed in the Atlantic Ocean.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
And confirmation that the boost back burn on Stage 1 has shut down. It is T plus 3 minutes and 48 seconds into today's mission, and the next major milestone we're tracking is actually around the T plus 6 minute mark.
Nominal trajectories.
Confirmation there that both vehicles are following nominal trajectories. And as always, you can keep an eye on both Stage 1 and Stage 2 telemetry in the bottom of your screen. Again, we are standing by for that first stage entry burn, during which we will relight 3 of the M1D engines on board the first stage, starting with the center engine, known as E9, followed shortly after by the E1 and E5 engines, which is similar to pumping the brakes to slow down the vehicle as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. We need to slow down to reduce re-entry forces, which then helps us to recover and reuse that first stage booster. During the entry burn, Falcon 9 is decelerating by firing those Merlin engines, but we're still moving really, really fast. And this causes the vehicle to fly through Merlin's exhaust gases, also known as the rocket's plume, which will deposit a layer of soot on the vehicle surface. That soot, of course, comes from the carbon-based fuel that Falcon 9 uses, and with each flight, the soot builds up a little more on the outside of the vehicle. Oftentimes, prior to launch, you can see that soot on the outside of the first stage. If you are just joining us, we are a little bit more than 5 minutes into today's launch of the Worldview Legion spacecraft. On the right-hand side of your screen, you have a great view of our MVAC engine on its way to orbit. And on the left-hand side, we've got great views as well. Great shots of the grid fins on board the first stage on the left-hand side there. In just about 20 seconds, we should hear the call out for that entry burn begin. Reusability is, of course, the key to lowering the cost of spacecraft, which enables more investments in critical scientific research. The Falcon 9 first stage supporting today's mission is about to perform this entry burn for the 16th time.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Confirmation of burn startup, and we are expecting this entry burn to last for just about 20 seconds.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
Confirmation of entry burn shutdown. The Merlins on the first stage are optimized for sea level. These achieve about 190,000 pounds of thrust, both during ascent and descent. At liftoff, Falcon 9's first stage has thrust greater than 5 747 airplanes at full power. The MVAC engine on the right-hand side of your screen has a much wider nozzle and is optimized to 220,000 pounds of thrust in vacuum. Coming up next, we are waiting for the landing burn of the first stage. Then we'll shut down our MVAC engine on the second stage.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Incredible views of that landing burn for the Falcon 9 booster on your screen right now. And there was that sonic boom.
Stage 2 FTS. Stage 1 landing light deploy.
That was the 16th launch
confirmed.
And landing for this first stage. You just heard that confirmation from Mission Control. That landing marks SpaceX's 339th recovery of an orbital class rocket, including first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy.
SECO.
There's the confirmation of SECO-1.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And confirmation of nominal orbital insertion. Our first payload deploy today will be happening just past the T plus 47-minute mark. We'll be back in about 33 minutes for second engine start 2, or SES-2,